surrounding me, you made it. Everything's so beautiful the way it flows together. I think I hear birds singing your praises. Amen. I swear you make me feel like I'm your favorite.
3. Okay, you got me. 3, 2, 1. Hi, my roses. Welcome back to another episode of the Rose Garden, the place where we meet to talk about all things self-care. I'm actually back a second week in a row. I told y'all I was going to be better and we were going to hang out more often, and so I'm here. So find your favorite drink, your favorite snack, and come in. Let's sit down. Okay, so this week for the Glow Zone, we have all probably seen this picture this week of Kim K and Chloe and Lala in what looks like a PJ. I actually watched a podcast this week and Lala was on it, and she was like, yeah, we went to Korea. And if you know, you know, South Korea is known for all of its beauty trends, beauty skin, glass skin. So I thought we'd take today to talk about what actually are some of the trends in the K-beauty world. What are things that are practical for you to actually do at home to get that glowing glass skin? Because at the end of the day, that's everybody's goal. Let's start off with what really is glass skin. So the glass skin is really that glowing look. Your skin is hydrated. Your skin is really not having a lot of texture on it, glowing, and it's kind of, oh, I woke up like this. But that's really the goal of the glass skin trend. And so to stay really, really hydrated, juicy skin, it does actually take some work to have that. So one of the big things in Korean skincare is slogging. I think of slogging and slugging. There are two different things. Slogging is the exfoliation of the skin, this dead skin falling off. Slugging, which comes from the term of if you almost had a really big product that we see in Korean skincare, is the snail mucin, because if you think about it, it's that really, snail mucin is a thick kind of, I guess, jelly texture, right? Slugging comes from that kind of, you want that layer of gel, that layer of, what is the word, guys? You want that layer of kind of thick, almost like petroleum jelly on your skin when you're going to bed at night, because we know that the skin cells repair at night. When your skin is rejuvenating at night, we want to add all that moisture back in order to wake up in that glow. So that's why you see those videos, those viral videos of girls unraveling in the morning because they want to do all that slugging. But we don't need to do all of that. What we really need to focus on is removing the dead skin cells and then adding in that layer of moisture. Some of us are grandmothers. I don't know what kind of household you guys grew up in, but definitely petroleum jelly, right? In the Black community, it's kind of the same thing if you think about it. So it's a moisturizing technique that we use. You're going to do your normal skincare. So you're going to double cleanse at night, all moisturizing based products. So these are really for people who have clear to normal skin or might have dry skin. Acne prone skin, this trend is probably not for you because it's going to add more into the skin than your skin is able to handle. It might add to the acne that's already being produced under the skin. So this is really not for you, but for normal and for dry skin, this is definitely something that you can do. So you're going to oil-based cleanse. You're going to use a cream-based cleanser because the whole goal is to add moisturizer in the skin. Then when you exfoliate, you're going to use an exfoliator twice to two to three times a week. In Korean skincare, the basis of a lot of their exfoliants is red bean. The red bean is a really good hydrating exfoliant, and it's also going to, the properties of the skin are not going to over irritate the skin, but it's going to do what it needs to do to get that dead skin off. So now that you've double cleansed and you exfoliate it, now this is where everything really comes together. So you're going to look for a toner. usually a milky based toner. So we always need to realize astringent and toner are two different things. So astringent is going to strip the skin. A toner is going to add back into that skin. So we're going to look for usually like a milky based toner. So Renewal has one that I really love. This is a thing. We're going to get it into our hands and then we're going to pat it on our face. I don't want you to take a cotton pad and rub that all over your face. I want you to get all the properties of, because the cotton's going to absorb that, I want you to get all of the properties and I want your skin to absorb that. So some people do multiple layers. They do different toners on top. That's up to you, however integrated you want to get in your little slogging routine. And then you're going to add your serums back in. So whatever you're targeting. So you can use a retinol, you can use something that's going to be a corrective skin, but when we're looking at a slogging process, the serum that you want to add back in is also going to look at something that we want to use for balancing the skin and repairing the skin that we're looking for at that time. And then when you are going to go in with your moisturizer is going to be something gel based or something cream based, and it's going to feel thick. And I want you to think of like that petroleum jelly consistency. And so when you go to bed at night, you are going to look like you are shining because it's going to sit on your skin, but as you sleep at night, it is going to absorb. You are preferably going to want to be a back sleeper because if you lean on your side, obviously it's going to come off on the pillows and things of that nature. That extra layer that some people sleep in, they sleep in hydrating mask as well. That is another great way to seal in all the moisture. So that last layer is going to lock in that moisture, and when you wake up in the morning, your skin should be hydrated. So let me know. It might feel like a lot. On the extreme other end, we have Skinimalists. These are the people who are not trying to do too much. They are not trying to do the whole 15-minute routine at night. And honestly, I'm on both ends of the spectrum. Sometimes I am doing the whole slugging and all of the routine and all of that. And then other days, I'm just a minimalist. I'm just trying to get it done. For our skin minimalist, you are pretty much doing the same routine morning and night. The only thing at night is that you're double cleansing. In the morning, you're probably only doing a single cleanser. You're going to create a routine that's based around your skincare needs. So that skin minimalist, though, is that's the person that I probably see for a monthly facial more regularly because they understand the habitual piece of getting and the importance of getting their monthly facials, but it sets their skin up to be glowing, to not have to do too much in between. And so those are the people I usually see the most, which you probably think is interesting. My people who are at the other end of the spectrum, who are doing their slugging, they are probably the people that I see least, but they come for the higher level treatment. So those are the people that are coming for the chemical peels, they're coming for micro needling, all of those different things. So I want to know. And if you are seeing this before the 28th, lucky you, because the Ulta Skincare 21 Days of Beauty starts, and I'm going to create a whole list of Korean skincare brands that you can get some discounts on and start whichever routine that you're looking for. So tell me, what do you think? Is slugging going to be too much for you, or are you more of a skin minimalist? I want to know. All right. Okay, let's hop into Pretty Mindful. So I know that Jillian Michaels has been trending this week for a totally different reason, but for those of you who don't know, she kind of rose to fame from the show The Biggest Loser. And if you don't know who The Biggest Loser or what the show The Biggest Loser was, you're probably too young to be here, but it was a show in the mid 2000s that focused on competition show that focused on people that were overweight and obese losing weight. One of the first things that stood out to me on the show was some of the people, they were 220, which yes, 220, based on guidelines is not at a healthy weight, but they're not like at my 600-pound life. But it was just so interesting. So one of the first things I really noticed was at those first 1 or 2 seasons, they were people that were maybe low 200s, and as the show got popular, they looked for individuals who were bigger and bigger and bigger because they wanted that extreme result and the extremeness of being able to lose this grand amount of weight. So one of the gentlemen that they interviewed, I can't remember his name at all, but he was one of the contestants that lost the most weight in the history of the show. He won one of the seasons of the show. He is now currently larger than he was when he went on the show, which is actually not shocking to me at all, because when you think about the timescape of a reality show, a competition show, at max is probably 90 days, 4 months at most. And so you're telling me these people he lost over 100 pounds in a 90-day or 4 month, even 5 month period is absolutely crazy. Most of you know that I had weight loss surgery about 4 months ago. Now, I am about 40 pounds down. That is still 40 pounds or 10 pounds a month, right? So think about losing 100 pounds in that time period. Absolutely crazy. But he was talking about how he kind of thrived off that energy, the competition piece, which obviously that's a whole component in itself. And he was like, the first couple weeks I lost in the teens. I was losing 12, 13, 15 pounds. And 1 week he lost 4 pounds. I remember that. And he was like shocked by that, which is one, that's normal because at first your body is adjusting, and obviously not a fitness instructor or a nutritionist, but your body's adjusting. So your weight loss is going to slow down. But as soon as he saw that 4 pounds, he said he kicked it into high gear. So there was a doctor on the show that outlined their diet, what their nutrition was supposed to be, and all of those different things. He actually said that I was eating about 800 calories a day, 8 to 900 calories a day, under what the doctor recommended. And I was also burning about 6,000 calories a day. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So if you think about it, just to give like perspective, if I was to stay at a state of rest all day, my metabolic rate, BMR, is about 1550, which is actually kind of low. That means I was just burning 1,500 calories a day doing nothing. So then if I add in a workout, an hour workout, and I burn about 300 or 400 calories, okay, that means I'm maybe burning like 1,900, 2,000 calories a day. Now you're saying you're burning 3 times that and only intaking 800 calories. That's an eating disorder, guys. As a person that works in inpatient mental health, if that person was in a smaller body telling anybody that they were eating 800 calories a day, burning 6,000 calories a day, you would be in the hospital, right? So thinking about that from a larger body scheme, just because your body is larger doesn't necessarily mean, or does not mean, that transitions over to that it's not an eating disorder. And like I said, he talked about how, because in the show, once you got to like the finalists, you did go home for about 3 months. I did forget about that. So you went home for a period until if you could maintain this diet, and then you would come back for your final weigh-in. Still, even in a 6 month period that you might have been doing that, because it's still production, it's still TV, you still got to get this out. You losing over 100 pounds in that time is absolutely crazy. I just don't know how else to say that other than that's crazy. But so he was saying when he did go home as well, he was working out in the morning for an hour and a half, would work out at lunch, and then again work out in the evening for an hour and a half. That's not a sustainable life at all. You could do it for a period, maybe like that, but that's not a sustainable lifestyle. And so there was just a lot of different components, even down to how they would submit videos to be a part of the show. Some of it was just like humiliation, for lack of better words. They're doing cheers, they're making little funny quirky videos about how I look like a cow, all these crazy things. And so one of the other things that really stood out in my mind was they had all of these different challenges. They used to have these temptation rooms that you would go into, and it would be these rooms filled with chocolate, candy, all these gluttony foods, right? And they would say, whoever eats the most food can go home and see your family for a time. What? That's totally counterintuitive. And then the emotional manipulation around that. But just to think about the emotional manipulation, and again, even when I was going through my surgery, you do have to go through a mental health evaluation. Now, an evaluation versus getting treatment are two different things. The mental gain that happens when you're having any type of large transition in your way you're looking, the way you're showing up in the world, all these different things, we know how the world sees people in larger bodies, and now that transitioning, it is at some levels traumatic. And so thinking about these things, and the other thing that really stuck out to me was Bob Harper, who was one of the trainers on there. He was saying he had never worked with larger bodies. He literally had never been a trainer for somebody who was obese or overweight. Sharing, at the height of my career before I took on that job, I was doing fitness classes for Julia Roberts and that type of body frame. And that's interesting. And so actually toning and shaping a body is different than losing weight and doing it in a healthy manner. And so the doctor on the show was saying, oh, yeah, I would recommend this diet for a patient, and the trainers would tell me something different. What's not clicking? What's not clicking? That's not setting anybody up for a healthy lifestyle. So it was so interesting. If you guys don't remember, there was a lot of scandal around it. He talked about how the contestants would get injured and they would still be showing up to workouts. The doctor would literally be like, you're not clear to work out, and they would still be showing up to workouts. There was a scandal and investigation around diet pills, caffeine pills to keep the patients up and awake, and all those different things. So it's just so interesting. And what I will say is, yes, that was the early 2000s, right? Have we come a long way around the way we see larger bodies in the society? Yes, in some ways, and no in other ways. And so what I really want to talk about is, in this culture of that is always around image and standards and looks and things of that nature, be careful of the extremes that we're willing to go to, right? Because I would say the most of the people that they had interviewed during this documentary had gained some level of weight. They were still in larger bodies. They were still not at that level of that they were when they were contestants on the show, which normal. Literally, that's normal. Nobody usually stays at their lowest weight, but to actually create and make lifestyle changes, it's a habitual piece, it's a day-to-day piece, and doing anything in extremes is not sustainable. It's just not. I've learned that lesson on my own. I used to be an avid 5:30, wake up in the gym 5 to 6 days a week. And when I finally crashed, it was like a year that took me to recover. I'm literally in the recovery now. I actually injured my hip. I couldn't lift weights for a while. But I remember talking about it with my therapist, and she was like, yeah, I was going to see how long that you were going to be able to sustain that, because that's not sustainable. And I was like, what? You're discounting me? And she was like, no, I'm not discounting you in any type of way. She's like, that's just not a sustainable lifestyle. And she was right. And so in order to create a lifestyle that is going to keep you to reach the goals that you actually want and then maintain them, it can't be in extremes. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Are you going to watch this documentary? If it's something that you're interested in, I'm always interested in reality TV, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, did you guys peep some of this? Now, I was a child when this show was on, but I did used to watch it. And something even then was like, that's crazy. I didn't put all those pieces together, but I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. He lost 15 pounds in a week. Like, that's really crazy. And then think about that. What's that putting into people's minds about what standard and what reality of a weight loss and a weight loss journey looks like? I just want to hear you all's thoughts. Let me know if you guys are going to watch it. All right. And I thought, since we were already talking about weight loss and all of those different things, I thought in our girl chat, let me give you guys some updates, some of my outcomes from weight loss surgery so far, and just like talk about all of the adjustments. Weight loss updates. So I had vertical sleeve surgery on May the 6th, 2025. We are now at August, the end of August. So a little over 3.5 months since I had surgery. My biggest victories that are non-scale victories right now is Friday. I went to the doctor and did all my blood work. My endocrinologist. For those of you who do not know, this journey has been 5 years long, 4 years long. 2021 it started. I was diagnosed with a hormonal brain tumor. My skin was the first thing that indicated to me that something was wrong. My skin looked crazy. And so I went through this journey, went to my dermatologist. My dermatologist was like, you need to go to the doctor. The OBGYN diagnosed that my hormone levels were off and were like, you need to go to your endocrinologist. Long story short, did an MRI, found that I had a tumor on my pituitary gland and all of these other things that were interconnected. But I had gained like 40 pounds and my skin was crazy. I didn't know what's going on with me. So I was like adamantly against getting weight loss surgery. And it took me 4.5 years to get to the point. I did all the injectables. I did Mounjaro. I did all the GLPs before they were even the thing. And lost the weight, came off the GLPs, weight gain came back in a combination of a lot of different things. My own eating, yes, but also my body just was not stabilizing with it. It was fighting back. So we decided to go through weight loss surgery. All those different things to say. At that time, I was pre-diabetic, really basically diabetic. Like if I was 1 point over, I would have been diabetic. So as of Friday, he said that he can resolve my diabetes. He was like, and you're not on any medications. And he was like, everything has been come down. And he's like, that's 3 months without you being on medication. Your blood sugar is stabilized. And I was like, thank you, Lord, because I did not want to be on medication forever. Now, I still am diagnosed with PCOS. The only way you can truly diagnose that is with the ultrasound. So I get ultrasounds about once a year. So we'll see where that goes when I get my next ultrasound. But PCOS can go into remission. And so those are like that's like the biggest victory. And that literally just happened on Friday. I am 40 pounds down since surgery. So that's also a thing. I don't think it really has hit me yet because this 40 pounds that I'm down is like where I was. So when I first was on GLP-1 and I lost weight, I was at this weight. And even the doctor said that on Friday. He was like, oh, so you're back at your normal weight. Yes, I am. And this is my adult weight that I have been at my whole adult life. And so I don't think it has hit me of like, oh, this is the benefits of surgery, this is life changing, because I'm like, oh, I'm just back at my normal weight, I can fit my clothes well again, those different things. So the biggest thing there is not to get comfortable, to be like, oh, I'm back at my weight, because I was actually really at this weight cool. I was cool, and if I was like, this is where I stabilize, right? But that's not the goal anymore. And so trying not to get into that mindset. Some of the hardest pieces is keeping a routine. Just I'm to be honest, I have to eat 4 times a day. I'm late on eating right now. I need to leave here and go eat, but I also have stuff to do. And it's just like, it's all math. It's all keeping aware of how much protein you have, how much water intake you have, when's the last time you ate, all of those different things. And so just keeping that routine consistent for now for 3.5, almost 4 months, and going to have to keep that routine for the majority of the next 3 to 4 years, and at some level for the rest of my life. It's just hard, honestly. You can't just go with the wind. You have to plan things. And so learning to integrate my life, I don't want it to be I am the happy hour girl. And so I want to go see my friends after work and go to happy hour. I'm not drinking right now, so that will be an interesting piece once I do go back to drinking. But what all of that to say is I didn't want my life to just stop because I had surgery. And so even yesterday, went to the state fair, found all the foods that I could eat, waited to the times that I could eat, enjoyed what I could eat, and then went on with my life. And so didn't allow it to control me, but it is something you definitely have to be aware of right now, because diet is very limited. There are things that I just can't have. I can't have no french fries or things of that nature. My birthday's coming up and I was like, I can't really have cake. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But all of those different things. But I have not had any hair like where I feel that my hair is dry at the moment, but that's because I haven't moisturized it. But overall, I haven't felt like, people lose their hair. I have a little bit of a balding spot, but I always do, so that's not too shocking to me that it's a little bit thinner. It will come back. I know that's one thing that people are always so shocked about. Skin elasticity, I haven't had that. I do take my biotin daily. I haven't been as great with collagen. The collagen that I have has a tiny bit of an aftertaste and it's not even that bad, but I have to find something to cover it up with. So some mornings when I'm drinking coffee, I can put that in the coffee, we'll cover it up with. But if I'm not drinking coffee, I just got caffeine back, so let's be realistic about that too. It's not. I haven't had like drooping skin, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm going to be using my nano needling in order to help with some of the skin elasticity. So if you want to see that, you can go over to my TikTok in order to see the routine I'm gonna be doing for that. I want to make sure that I don't lose all of my skin elasticity. The mental health piece, they talk about your emotions and how crazy they are. People's relationships don't last. The first year after surgery, all of that. And I went back to therapy because I know something's gonna happen. But let me tell you, I think this is also in combination with just being in my first year of my 30s. I started at 29 and a half where my hormones were, I had PCOS, but my hormones were actually all over the place. But I don't know. The emotions are kind of not all over the place, but they're definitely way more heightened than I am. I'm usually I don't want to say reserved, but reserved's the right way. But at some points, I don't know, my emotions just be kind of all over the place. So I have to be super aware of that. When you remove 80% of your stomach, your gut is actually attached to the brain, and some of the emotional pieces with the gut, I don't know how to correctly explain that, but some of that stomach piece that they remove actually has a connection to the emotions. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. The most shocking piece that I saw this week, Serena Williams on GLP-1. Mama, what? I'm not even gonna lie. That took me aback. And I was like, Serena, that's the body we want, right? Like, even ever since I was a child, knew that. Both her and Venus. But her as a sponsor of GLP-1, I understand she has had 2 babies trying to lose weight. She's of a certain age, so I understand it. But I was like, what is happening here? And so my thought process also as somebody being on this weight loss journey, as many people are using GLP-1s, which is also a large and drastic change for a lot of people when they're using that. My mind went so many different places about like, what does this mean for our culture? Not just because Serena is on a GLP-1. That's what her prerogative. That's what she wants to do. That's what she wants to look at. But it's just been so interesting. So many thoughts have been running through my mind. I always like to think about the cultural impact. So research, really, to have research, we're always about 8 to 10 years behind because we have to be able to collect all the information. So one area, sector that I'm so interested in is really seeing the impact of COVID, but we won't see that. We see it obviously, but the research that's going to be attached to it from a mental health side, we won't be able to understand all of it till probably about 2030, and that's not going to even be all of it. The GLP-1s is something I'm interested in too, and how that's going to shape our culture and all of these different things. I'm a foodie at heart. I'm still going to love food. I'm going to have to reshape my life and my relationship with food. That's a part of that journey, but I really want to see how it's going to impact people long term from a health standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, all of those different things. So I want to know you all's thoughts. Were y'all taken aback by seeing Serena Williams in the picture of her on GLP-1 and being a sponsor and all those different things? What you else think? Are there still some stigmas that you have? The whole weight loss culture, all of those different things. I want to know. Let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. I enjoyed our time together as always. Like I said, this week I will definitely get my micro needling video up, so if you guys want to see or learn more about micro needling, we'll definitely get that up this week. And the 21 days of beauty in order to get your Korean skincare. So if you're gonna be doing that slogging, or you're more of a skin minimalist, let me know what you're into, and let me know, are you guys watching some of these documentaries, especially that Fit for TV? If you do, I want to hear your thoughts. So lovely time together as always. Can't wait to get back together next week, and have a wonderful week. Bye.